said, well, this is a really serious area. We have to study it. We have to take opinions from a lot of people. Of course, they didn't consult any patients or producers. They took opinions from fire chiefs, fire departments, police departments, and the customs folks. But they didn't talk to anybody that benefits from the program. But anyway, I said, we got to do a long and comprehensive review of the entire program. And so we're going to stick this 2-to-1 in as an interim measure. They didn't do anything about this 3 max ratio that was also an issue in Mr. Barron's case. And on February 3rd of this year, it should have expired. And there should have been no maximum on the number of licenses, theoretically, that could aggregate together in one place. About a week before February 3rd, I got a letter. I haven't really talked about this publicly because it's just about to finalize. But about a week before February 3rd, I got a letter from the Crown Attorney. The Crown Attorney says, well, just to let you know, we're going to be asking the judge to extend her stay of her declaration of invalidity. In other words, to give the government some more time before that rule goes away. And they wanted 3 more months because they wanted to do a comprehensive review of the policy to see what they could replace the 3 max ratio with. You know, 4. Maybe 5. And, you know, I sort of scratched my head at that, and I thought, well, you know, it's a little disturbing. Here we are 1 week before a year that you asked for a year ago so that you could study what you should do, and now you want 3 more months. And so I said, no, Judge, you shouldn't give them 3 more months. And you know what? While you were away, and while we were going up to the Supreme Court of Canada, this is what the government did. They put in this 2-to-1 ratio. You know, the 1-to-1 that you struck down as unconstitutional, now it's 2-to-1 on an interim basis from May, and they haven't studied it since. They haven't started the comprehensive regulatory review at all. They haven't done any of it, right? And now they're in here, because I think they forgot the other one was going to expire. Now they're in here a week beforehand, and they're saying, we need 3 more months. The judge, they're not acting in good faith. What they want to do is just delay, install, and delay, just like they have been since 2001 when they implemented the program, in 2003 when they thumbed their nose at Pennsylvania Court, 2005 when they thumbed their nose at the Pennsylvania Court of Appeal, 2008, 2009 when they're thumbing their nose at the federal courts. They're thumbing their nose at you, Judge. It's contemptuous. You should take over the program. Or at the very least, you should open it up and rule again on this 2-to-1, this new 2-to-1 ratio. All the evidence is basically the same. It was a stretch. I knew I wasn't going to get that. It's a little difficult for a judge to go back into a decision she's already made and re-rule on the basis of evidence she hasn't heard. But I wanted to stick it to him a little bit and see what came out. And the judge said something very interesting. She said, you know, government, I'm prepared to give you all the time you want to really review this program because it's important, you're right. You say you need this time, you need to think about it hard, you need to talk to stakeholders. I'm prepared to give you all the time you need. But you've got to come back in 3 weeks with a detailed, specific proposal of how you're going to accomplish this comprehensive review that you say you want to do. It's an interesting way of taking control of the program without actually taking control of the program. I quite like that idea. And of course, I said immediately, Judge, and I'm happy. I don't want to fight with them about this. I'll fly to Ottawa tomorrow. I'll spend a week with them. We'll get together. We'll hammer it out. We'll figure it all out. I can't wait. And you know, the Crown Attorney said, thanks very much for that offer, Mr. Tousaw. I'll consider my client's position. About 2¼ weeks go by, and earlier this week I got a letter from the Crown Attorney. And the letter from the Crown Attorney said, as I rather suspected it would, they're withdrawing their request for a 3-month extension because the comprehensive review that they want to do is sort of secret, and it's they need to take their time, and they're just not prepared to tell the judge specifically what they're going to do to review this program. So they're just going to withdraw their request for the extension of the stay. Now, no great shakes there. I sort of expected that would be the result. If I'm the Crown lawyer, I'm thinking, big deal, you know. 3 max ratio goes away. What? Somebody out there maybe has 10 licenses they're going to drop in a big warehouse, or 20 or 50, or maybe a couple community gardens start somewhere we got enough sunlight to do it in the summertime. They can shut that down after 1 year anyway. They can, in 2 months, put a 5 max ratio in. They can grant a couple people the right to grow 10 licenses in one building, and then, you know, at the end of the year, when they change the rules, your licenses renew, you have to renew them. They won't renew them again. They'll say the new rules are in place. It's exactly what they did when they didn't have that 1-to-1 ratio for a little while. They let a couple people grow for 3 or 4 people and said you're only going to be able to do it for a year because we're changing rules. So, you know, in a sort of balance of who cares in this, the government said we'd much rather lose this restriction than we don't, you know, this is me thinking about what they're thinking. We'd rather lose this restriction because we don't particularly care about it that much, and we don't really want to report back to this judge because Tousaw there saying, you know, there's a long pattern of recalcitrance, and misfeasance, and bad faith that this government has shown in relationship to this program over and over and over and over again. Now, we're back in front of the judge Tuesday morning. Maybe she'll surprise me again. I'm certainly going to argue again that this is contemptuous, that we should get back in there, we should really do something about this program, not waiting for the next lawsuit, which is inevitable, which will happen. But shouldn't we be talking to the government across the negotiating table rather than across the board? I mean, this is not an efficient use of patients' time, the limited resources that I and others have, as well as the taxpayer dollars that funded this litigation. And you folks have funded the government's efforts fighting against this program, everybody that pays taxes, for 10 years. The bill must be in the millions. Must be. There's just no way it can't be. And so that's where we're at in the courts. Now, the interesting thing that's happened since they implemented the 2-to-1 ratio is that they've been on a bit of a campaign. I'm not, you know, it's probably noticeable to everybody in this room, but I try to make the point that we've seen since about a year ago a real uptick in the number of media articles placed by fire chiefs and police departments, local papers predominantly, but some national stories as well, where they sort of come out and they say, oh, well, the medical grows are just as dangerous, or the medical grows are just going to burn your neighborhoods down. The medical marijuana people are just flaunting their ability to smoke marijuana. Or the RCMP releasing a study that's anonymous, it's secret, that they don't want to let the whole study out, but they'll release you little clips of it to their friendly reporter, Kim Bowman, the Vancouver Sun, and she'll report dutifully. She'll write down what they say. And of course, my goodness, every case that we've investigated as the RCMP of a medical grow is abusing the terms of their license. And what does that mean? The guy had 5 extra clones or 10 extra clones out of 20 plants. Is that abusing the terms of your license? That probably is. But we don't know because they won't release the whole study. You know? And what struck me is there's a couple thousand people that can grow marijuana in this country, and 40 are abusing the terms of their licenses. That's a very low proportion. I was shocked to know it was that low. I mean, any regulatory scheme is abused by people. That's the unfortunate nature of humanity. I'm sure that the diversion of pharmaceutical substances is greater than, you know, the 0.5% or whatever it is with medical drugs. But you got to wonder about a police force that advocates by releasing bits and pieces of a study that they say is confidential. I've written an Access to Information Act request, and I've asked for the study. We'll see if I get it. I rather suspect they'll jerk it along for a year or so, and eventually release some portions of it. What we'll learn, almost invariably, is 2 things. Number 1, why is the RCMP in a medical grow? Well, if they're in a medical grow, we have to think they have probable cause to get in there, or some reason to get in. Now, we know they fake it up a bit. Most things usually don't get reported, but let's assume they have probable cause, because we should assume they're going to follow the law and do the law dutifully. Well, if they had probable cause to go in those 40 or 50 homes where they found people abusing their licenses, that's why they were there. I mean, it's sort of like 100% of the, you know, 100% of the grows that we've gone in had illegal conduct ongoing. Well, you're only entitled to go into the ones with probable illegal conduct ongoing. So I'm sort of not surprised. That's like saying 100% of the time you get the shower, you get wet. Okay?
Most of the buildings firemen go to are on fire, right?
That's right. And so, I mean, it's an unfortunate campaign, right? Because you have the police agitating on one hand, you have fire chiefs agitating on the other hand, you have the municipalities agitating on the other hand. And what are they doing? They're creating the evidentiary base that they didn't have a year ago, 2 years ago, 5 years ago, when they were arguing for all their little restrictions and rules. And the court said, we don't have any evidence to back that up. Well, they're not dumb, you know. What police do is gather evidence. Oh, all right, you want some evidence, let's get some evidence, right? And so they're busily trying to build, in my view, a base of evidentiary support to remove the rights of people.